Hey guys, welcome back to another What If. Here today we're doing part 1 to What If Kakashi meets Naruto early. Yeah, how would Kakashi meet Naruto? Of course, Kakashi could easily meet Naruto early by just simply walking into him, and that's probably happened probably many of times in canon. But though this time Kakashi would be ordered to someone to train Naruto early due to a situation in which would kind of force Hiruzen to kind of somewhat realize that he'd become too soft and would reawaken the true Hokage within him, the god of shinobi deeper, and the person who kind of like alluded at but never really got to see. And so let's get into this. And Naruto, this person didn't even look like Naruto, yet it would be Naruto. This person would be a female, and more specifically a woman, simply laying on Naruto's bed. Though, because this female was just Naruto transformed, though why was Naruto laying on his bed, simply facing up to the ceiling, eyes simply kind of glazed over, like just not even there? Well, simply because, ever since he could somewhat really remember, since he was about 3-ish years old, the person who kind of owned his apartment complex, and yes, the Hokage didn't own Naruto's apartment or the apartment complex, he was just paid for the gas, electric, water, and so the person who actually owned it kind of pretty much, once Naruto had kind of simply moved in, everyone practically moved out. And then the people that moved in were pretty much almost all, or if not all of them, were prostitutes. So deciding that, well, if somewhat building was going to house prostitutes, then was going to get money from Naruto by simply having somewhat men go up, obviously, to Naruto have a fun time and then come out, but be the person to take the money instead. And seemingly as somewhat rent, as even though Hiruzen was paying for Naruto's rent, I decided to take, or at least seemingly have this as Naruto's form of rent. And of course, once he had turned 6, he'd started to really heavily skip classes or the academy to learn to be able to stick a leaf to his forehead, something he'd learned from kind of somewhat watching a somewhat 2 to 3 a 2-year kind of class, somewhat 2 to 3 year class, somewhat ahead of him, and then had somewhat was then trying to learn once he had gotten that down, he was then trying to learn the the transformation. And of course, once the person had gotten wind of something, Naruto was learning that, well, the person had then somewhat, or at least told Naruto that he should obviously go and become, or at least transform into a woman, that if he didn't, he'd be kicked out into the street, pretty much being forced to kind of change his somewhat goal of trying to transform into a man to female, as something Naruto wanted to transform into a man so he could potentially get kind of a job, so that he could kind of get some kind of money to himself, build up that money to the point where he could potentially buy an apartment, his own apartment building or home, or something like that, so that he could obviously get away from having, by that point, his arse being raped. And so of course that kind of somewhat, though it barely even took him a week to be able to successfully transform into something woman, and once course, once the person had, or at least once Naruto had confirmed that he could and showed that he could, while he then proceeded to have people, or at least a lot less people, kind of rape him in the ass and more use his front door. Now, the vagina. And yeah. And so, of course, that's kind of somewhat where Naruto was at the moment, at now 10. Though today was somewhat the day, or well, the night of the day, which was his first ever try at the Genin exams. The Genin exams are somewhat happen every year. And somewhat years, or at least classes from somewhat, or at least classes of the age of 13 have to do it, and classes of 12 and 11, so year-old students, can choose if they want to obviously try and pass to become Genin earlier. But yeah, Naruto being of course 10, you'd think I'd be in the year before. Well, no, because he was still in the somewhat same age year as his academy, not age group, age year. And so somewhat yeah, so he was pretty much 10. Granted, some of the other kids were also a good chunk of the kids obviously were also 10 when that came around, and well, yeah, Naruto wanted to try and ended up failing. Of course, failing to do that, he'd kind of just somewhat went home, and yeah, by now he couldn't even somewhat try and really remember how many somewhat people had somewhat entered him. Yeah, his mind was just glazed over. He couldn't really somewhat think state, and the last person of the night had pretty much left. Though unknown to somewhat Naruto, as by now pretty much his mind was nothing but well, yeah, I would probably hardly remember that night, but the person somewhat was a drunk, and of course generally you shouldn't really have obviously sex with a drunken person. And yeah, though the person being somewhat similarly drunk enough that while when he'd left Naruto's similarly apartment complex, had kind of fell down the stairs in which were in a bad state, and as such had kind of fallen all the way down the stairs and had then proceeded to die from some sharp objects and that. So oops, oh well. Though Naruto had ended up being obviously somewhat just falling to sleep, less falling, more just straight up kind of just passing out after similarly a couple of seconds. And yeah, someone would come and somewhat Naruto would go about just the somewhat day sitting on the toilet and pretty much focusing chakra really somewhat down below and forcing the somewhat semen and gum out of somewhat his current vagina, and once that was all done, he'd then be able to successfully release the transformation. Once that was done and he'd somewhat finished off going to the toilet and washing his hands and that and having breakfast and that, he was just pondering on somewhat what he was going to do, and he'd knock at the door. He'd be kind of somewhat curious, so he'd go to the door and it would be somewhat the old man, him and Santobi. So Naruto would kind of somewhat open the door and you'd kind of go somewhat, hey old man, yeah. Though he was somewhat giving Naruto a slight a somewhat a very slight smile, in which Naruto would see and would somewhat go, what's wrong? And yeah, as if Hiruzen gave him a big smile, only, just here to simply check up on him, make sure he was fine, but he hadn't done that in a long while. Heck, he hadn't even come over since I was maybe 4-5 years old. So yeah, and yeah, Hiruzen would simply ask if he could enter, and which Naruto would kind of blat him, and doing so they would go into the sort of living room, front room, and they would somewhat sit down, and which Hiruzen would kind of tell them that there had been someone to death somewhat last night. Naruto would just kind of go, okay, and Hiruzen would continue saying that it was outside of his sort of apartment, or at least some of the stairs to his apartment complex level is, Naruto would be somewhat kind of starting to hear that, as Hiruzen would somewhat perceive to kind of, or at least show a picture of somewhat of the person, would ask if Naruto knew of the person, and Naruto would just somewhat shrug and would go no, though some amount of, or at least anger did boil up inside of him, as Hiruzen was seemingly somewhat or at least Naruto thought he was kind of suspecting him, and Hiruzen would ask if he was sure something the third Naruto knew of the old man. Never really did, so he was really heavily thinking about it. And and of course Naruto would end up being not in a great mood from obviously failing something like that, and he kind of thought that Fred was here maybe to kind of cheer him up after hearing about somewhat his failure. No. And so Naruto would somewhat kind of look at, or at least somewhat, still looking at him, but though Hiruzen could see the build up of now anger, Hiruzen would be momentarily somewhat confused why when Naruto goes, so you're only here to somewhat promote, or at least somewhat, you're only here to simply trying to put somebody's death somewhat on me. Damn it, there are people somewhat roaming next door, somewhat to have people going in and out all night. Maybe it was, damn it, one of them or that. And somewhat you come here just to try and put that potentially somewhat on me, and you should also know that I'd somewhat failed the academy, not academy, failed to become somewhat gaining test yesterday, and you decide somewhat today to not bother kind of ask me how I am after that, and bother to and just go straight into simply investigating me and trying to simply put this somewhat on me. He shouldn't have to somewhat say, of course, a lot differently than that. Though by somewhat the end of his long rant, he'd be somewhat very annoyed, to the point where Hiruzen could feel a small amount of killing intent. He was really pissed, and Hiruzen would kind of realise that, oh right, Naruto did kind of fail, maybe he should have asked these people next door first. And then Naruto would also kind of somewhat, or at least that, and though I need to say that, he hadn't, or at least somewhat that, the first time in somewhat so many years he comes and somewhat over to simply somewhat about this as well, and he would just kind of tell him in a somewhat dark voice to just leave, as a black aura would form around him, as his somewhat, or at least kind of spiky hair would simply start to somewhat obviously flow, seemingly like there was wind, though there wasn't any. Hiruzen would kind of somewhat kind of go up, and he would just somewhat, he would, he would just kind of somewhat get up, and he'd just no idea, he'd go and ask one of the somewhat next door people, and would end up leaving. Yeah, once Naruto would hear the door shattered, yeah, he'd just somewhat go and proceed to punch a hole right through the wall without simply noticing he'd punched through not only somewhat plasterboard but also solid brick wall. And yeah, he would then proceed to leave and go to one of the training grounds and proceed to beat the heck out of, or at least to try to. And yeah, when somewhat his and or at least would go, yeah, after somewhat the somewhat investigation mainly he was doing, so that were obviously unable to investigate, but he kind of wanted to simply do it personally to Naruto because it would give him a reason to visit him. Granted, he kind of technically did have a solid reason to visit him all those years because, well, he was making sure the house was still livable, the apartment was still livable, and well, it kind of wasn't. So, and yeah, that, and also kind of that obviously went on somewhat rants of how comes Sasuke had a seemingly better apartment than he did once he was put in some a place like an apartment like this. Also true, there were other apartments than this. This was just a kind of one of the somewhat cheapest ones that were at the time, and so grief would really start kind of settling in, and as you'd somewhat think, you'd start realising just all the somewhat stuff that had gone through, stuff he could have very much stopped. Naruto should have a much better apartment than what he is. Heck, the one Sasuke's in was, granted, that was a somewhat new-ish building, newest being within like 2 to 3 years, but still not, that could have easily gone from that to, in there, and there were other apartments, obviously in, a lot better than that. Heck, there were, so much, shinobi apartments, or at least the shinobi, somewhat of actual buildings he owned, apartment complexes that he owned and which Naruto could have lived in, and he wouldn't have to obviously pay someone trying to that because he owned the damn somewhat apartment. And granted he would have to pay for the water, electric and that like he was with Naruto currently with the current apartment, but it'd just be going from him, instead of going from him to another person, it'd go from him to the just somewhat village kind of only village style thing. Anyway, and somewhat. So he'd kind of finally decide that he would somewhat yell at him, he'd call his army and would somewhat tell, or at least somewhat he'd tell two of them to he'd tell somewhat one of them to go and somewhat get a list of the current somewhat apartments that somewhat decent, just somewhat apartments that were presumably for sale. Of course, they would know what Hazen was hinting at, apartments that current shinobi were currently living in, and so they used somewhat to would actually know as there was some fairly amount of apartments for sale, so they two would go, and Hazen would then tell another one to go get, or at least somewhat the Naruto's academy records from the school, though a aunt would ask him why in school and he'd have a copy, and he would go, exactly, I have a copy. I don't know what's actually in the somewhat academy, so I can somewhat look at the both of them and see if there's any difference between them. And yeah, the Ambu would be somewhat surprised and would just kind of nod at that. They'd realise that Hiruzen was potentially maybe suspecting some type of sabotage in Naruto's learning, which, well, yeah, they wouldn't really somewhat understand, but in Naruto's rant, Hiruzen kind of hinted at that, and more specifically, he was hinting at, seemingly maybe some type of sabotage, so it was why Hiruzen was having, them get that, and yeah. And so by the end of that day, more specifically pretty much nearing midnight, it finally decided on a apartment, it was an apartment that pretty much Jonin lived in, or at least the majority of the people were Jonin, and he would have his, or at least because he was somewhat knighted, he'd add someone to his arm to somewhat go to them and tell them that, or at least tomorrow, he would be talking to them individually due to a new person somewhat moving in, or specifically, of course, Naruto. And yeah, so yeah. Though he'd also looked through Naruto's academy someone's records and had found that similarly someone when Iruka similarly wrote someone Naruto's for similarly some of the records to go into both the academy and the school, and of course Hiruzen they matched, but when it was Music-y they didn't. And yeah, he'd found several times in which Iruka had been the one to send one out, whilst Music-y had done the one either in the academy, which Hiruzen immediately knew that as kind of suspicious, so he decided to go and kind of ask Iruka first, and he'd shown obviously the ones in which Iruka had sent him, and Iruka confirmed that he had sent them all, or the ones that had his name marked down, which he was in a dental design to go and arrest Music-y for treason of one of the highest order, of somewhat near enough the highest order, pretty much. After all, the academy is somewhat the Shinobi Academy, pretty much, that train pretty much or at least the kids in pretty much into something, somewhat kind of as military, or the Fire Nations somewhat military, and thus kind of sabotaging a single person's, kids somewhat learning is a somewhat, is a jailable offence, and Hiruzen had a mind to just kill a person, but Music-y, but I decided against that, and so though of course somewhat the next day, and after telling somewhat the Jonin and some tuning, that though mainly Jonin, as practically 90 to 95% of the actual apartment complex was Jonin, though he told them all that obviously something that would be moving in, and that of course if any someone should know getting Jonin, or maybe even Jonin that try harming Naruto, or that they have to protect them, and if they don't, they'll be somewhat jailed, or that for not protecting a Konoha somewhat citizen, sure, Naruto, as after all their job is to protect everyone in Konoha, be it on or off. So when they're doing a mission and when they're not. And somewhat they nodded. The Chunin were slightly more slightly obviously less thrilled, though he was going to proceed to somewhat threaten him that he would somewhat he would send them to jail, if not kill them right where they stand if they do try anything against him or sabotaging him, in which, well, that kind of got them somewhat doing so. Yeah. Anyway, so of course he'd go and he'd knock on Nanto's door. Nato would somewhat open it, but then almost would immediately give him a very much annoyed / angry look, though Hizum would simply kind of somewhat would tell him to kind of somewhat follow him, as he's got a surprise for him. Nato would somewhat look at him, but would just kind of go, why should I? And yeah, he was meant to kind of say, and they'd have a small conversation in which would find kind of somewhat would get through to Naruto, and so they would proceed to Naruto would proceed to follow him, as he would be fully dressed. And yeah, and so from there, Naruto, they would somewhat walk through the village, and of course, as they would, Naruto would get some glares. He was in seeing that, would decide that he'd just, well, yeah, he'd had somewhat enough. So the people that glared at Naruto, Hiruzen would perceive to just leak killing intent, and which would cause the obviously civilian lot to pale. And yeah, they would then obviously someone get away from the similarly angry fight Hokage, and they knew the civilians knew they'd pressed the fight off by glaring at Naruto, and yeah. Yeah, now he was an adamant, kind of somewhat groaned as why didn't he just do this in the beginning? It would have hit home to them that if they glared at him or showed Naruto any hostility, there would be some repercussions. Even just feeling killing intent was a repercussion for them, as it made them pale and fear, drove fear into them. And yeah. Though of course, after some time they would arrive in front of some apartment complex in which Naruto would ask what they were kind of simply doing here, and he would go out. Well, because somewhat would be moving into this apartment complex, Naruto would just stare at him and would kind of narrow his eyes and would go, don't be, he'd somewhat narrow his eyes at Hiruzen would go, I'm serious, Naruto. From your kind of somewhat rant at me yesterday, I realised I haven't truly been living up to what I would have liked, and so yeah. Though Naruto would somewhat just nod, and he was kind of shown to Naruto, but yeah, he was shown Naruto to somewhat his apartment, and it would be somewhat at least twice the size of his somewhat current apartment, and yeah, Naruto would be somewhat shocked, and Hiruzen could see not only was Naruto shocked, but Naruto was feeling somewhat happy in that, and he shouldn't tell him that obviously this was a shinobi somewhat apartment complex, which meant there were Jonin living here, so if anyone tried to harm him, they would be arrested or jailed. Or killed, for that matter. Yeah, and Naruto would somewhat pale, though before Naruto could speak, he'd go, Naruto, you are a Konoha citizen, even once you become a Genin, still a Konoha citizen, and that Jonin and that are meant to protect Konoha, they are meant to somewhat protect the civilians and that the population when they can. So if they're at home somewhat and someone's trying to kill you, well, you are somewhat yeah, you somewhat are in that protection detail. They have to. If they don't, well, they can be somewhat jailed for it, unless somebody else is already out there and they could just make it worse. Not to just begrudgingly nod at that, and yeah. Though his would also turn out that he, or at least somewhat tomorrow, he'd also be having a somewhat Jonin sensei, well, a Jonin come by for the next week to fix his to teach him the actual academy taijutsu style, so that he could, properly somewhat do it. And yeah, as he'd state, the one that Mizuki taught him, the traitor, was one of the wildly incorrect one. Yeah. Of course, somewhat after that, and they would go and after buying some somewhat furniture and that, and getting, Naruto somewhat stuff, mainly some other clothes and food and that, moved into the new one. Yeah. Hiruzen, or at least somewhat, Hiruzen would turn around to leave, and Naruto would ask somewhat why he was hated. Hiruzen, though before Hiruzen could somewhat speak, Naruto would state, "I know you know, somewhat, old man. Just why don't you tell me?" And he'd go on somewhat another kind of rant in which Hiruzen would rinse, though once Naruto was kind of finished, he'd go, "Fine, if you're not going to tell me, just leave." And Hiruzen would kind of close his eyes and he'd let out his sigh, he'd turn around it and go, "I'll tell you." As he'd sit down, he'd just for Naruto to somewhat sit down with a kind of somewhat a somewhat slightly harsher look, in which would get Naruto to sit down. Once somewhat Hiruzen would proceed to explain everything and why he kind of didn't tell him. And yeah, though Naruto would tell him that it was kind of stupid to somewhat hide it from him, though Naruto would kind of somewhat understand why he kind of didn't tell him. And yeah, though Naruto would ask that, no, he told him that, but he told him finally his parents, why Hiruzen would go, "I'm sorry, Naruto, I can't." Naruto would somewhat kind of suddenly glare at him, and he'd go, "Because I promised your parents that I wouldn't tell you who they were until you were Jonin Naruto." And yeah, somewhat there, that if I tell you now, you could by accident tell someone who you may trust, someone who maybe say someone who some other people may trust as well, and you could end up telling that person could tell somebody else, and before you know it, the enemies who your parents had made would be coming after you to kill you, so that to get some type of revenge. And trust me, Naruto, it could very much start the next Shinobi War. Naruto would go, "Why did I doubt that?" He was going to retort something, but hearing that would kind of sink in that his parents were very, very incredibly strong, but also, of course, as such, incredibly feared and had, very, very strong enemies, and enemies that would be more than happy to try and kill him. And yeah. And so after that, though Naruto would tell him that he couldn't exactly trust, that his obviously trust in Hiruzen had been somewhat broken, in which Hiruzen would somewhat look down, though Hiruzen would state that he just hoped in time, though Hiruzen would just nod and would tell Naruto that in time somewhat he hopes that their trust could be kind of remade, and afterwards something not though he'd state somewhat as long as he's not hiding anything else from him, in which Hazen would think for a moment and just shake his head. So though it'd go, I guess that is one thing, but another thing, Hazen would narrow his eyes and Hazen would put his hands up and would simply go, Naruto, it'd give you it. The reason why I haven't told you yet is because it just wouldn't be right to. It'd be like, say, it'd be like, say, somewhat say, giving Sasuke seemingly someone to hope there are more Uchiha out there. Somewhat Uchiha that maybe, kind of similarly, maybe somewhat, or at least what I say, our missions when the Uchiha massacre happened, and it'd be kind of giving false hope. I don't want to do that, so it's why I'm keeping it quiet. But if you really want to know, then I will tell you. But I can assure you Naruto, that it probably will do. It'll give you, or at least your enemy, a high chance at manipulating you. I would say that. Hazen would just, Naruto would just shrug and go, so just tell me, old man. Hazen would just nod, and he'd proceed to tell him about the Uzumaki clan, and that his mother was an Uzumaki, and that he's kind of half Uzumaki and that, and yeah. Though he'd also state that even though Uzumaki had been destroyed had been, gone for at least 30, 40 years now, that he was probably the last person alive from the clan. And yeah, of course, that would somewhat just open up a massive hole, and even though Hazen would state that was a very small chance, Naruto now knew why Hazen didn't want to tell him, because now he did really, he gained slight hope. He was from a clan, and yeah. Anyway, though somewhat after that, and once Hazen leave, the next day would go on by, and Naruto kind of somewhat mainly just excited to kind of meet the person and potentially be training him for the next week. And yeah. And so somewhat on time at 8:30, there'd be a knock on his door, and it'd be dead 8:30, so he'd go in, somewhat open it, and the person was a similarly silver-haired sort of person who had a single eye. He had his hit height over one eye and wore a mask. Of course, it was Kakashi, and yeah, that would simply ask if it was the person that would be training him for the next week, in which the person would just nod. And yeah, that would kind of someone nodded, then someone step back a bit, sit down, put his sandals on, get up, and though Kakashi would walk back a bit so Naruto could walk out and lock his apartment door, which that was locked. Kakashi would then put a hand on him, and they would then disappear. They sort of leaves and would reappear in, of course, Training Ground 7, the only training ground Kakashi would go to because of the memorial stone. And yeah, and so from there, Kakashi would somewhat down Naruto to he would somewhat proceed to kind of sit down, in which Naruto would follow his pursuit, as Kakashi would then sort of ask Naruto to introduce himself, in which Naruto would ask what would he somewhat like to know, in which Kakashi would then state his, so much, what he would in canon likes, dislikes, goals, dream for the future, and that, and yeah, so Naruto would end up stating what he would in canon, his likes and that wouldn't alter. And yeah, Kakashi's one would be different from canon, as he would actually state his likes, simply stating that he would state more than that, he'd state that he'd obviously somewhat like to read and that, and yeah, they would state that he didn't necessarily have a goal or a dream, though he would state that, I guess, in a way, you could say, or at least somewhat my goal or dream is to simply protect the next generation and to potentially one day pass a team so that I can pass down my knowledge that I've gained throughout my shinobi career and from, of course, my sensei. Yeah, Naruto would somewhat nod. Yeah, from there, from there though, I should somewhat tell, or at least for tell Naruto that they would be training in, or at least somewhat, you'd ask, no, you'd tell Naruto that they would be kind of somewhat sparring to see just how bad his hand-to-hand combat was. Naruto would just somewhat nod, and so they'd start to spar. And within somewhat and so from there though after some time Kakashi would call an end to the spar, and though Naruto would have a single somewhat thought, or at least he'd know the Academy style wouldn't suit Naruto at all, and that there were two styles that could suit him. He was, after all, at Anbu speed. He may be 10, but because of his pranks and ran away from Jonin, Chunin, and of course Anbu, he'd gained high speed. And yeah, he didn't really have a lot of strength, and yeah, it pretty much meant that there were two fighting styles. One called the Hummingbird, in which required an equal amount of speed and strength. And yeah, as it mainly worked to kind of wear down the opponent quite quickly, and another one was called the cheetah fighting style, or just cheetah. It was pretty much kind of somewhat followed somewhat like the animal, fast, just fast and precise. So they're incredibly fast, and the precise part comes to the fact that when they when they start running at high speed, they're locked onto a target to kill. And so this is somewhat what that fighting style suited. It meant that, of course, it did pretty much rely on somewhat high speed, something Naruto did meet, though he also didn't meet the strength requirements for this one as well, but the strength requirements was slightly lower due to the more somewhat slightly preciser, deadlier hits, and which somewhat Naruto would kind of somewhat have to do, though Kakashi somewhat knew that he'd have to ask the Hokage, or tell the Hokage, and that he'd also kind of have to somewhat learn it from Guy, as he wasn't just going to throw Naruto somewhat practically onto a bomb, as the guy was. I would probably end up simply giving Naruto nightmares, and yeah, or kind of turning Naruto into a mini guy. That was the last thing Konoha needed. They were fine with him. They didn't need, one guy was more than enough. They didn't need two, and yeah, practically they didn't need three, as yeah. And so Kakashi would kind of somewhat tell Naruto that the Academy fighting style didn't technically, or at least didn't seem to really suit him, but he would still kind of teach it due to Hokage's orders, but he would teach him that he would potentially teach him a different fighting style that would suit him a lot more. Something which Naruto did not, and so, yeah, from there, yeah, though Kakashi would obviously state that he would first have to kind of work on his own somewhat strength, and that Naruto would ask somewhat how Kakashi would simply tell him that they'd firstly get his fighting style down, the academy fighting style, sort of get that down within the week, and then they would start training something else. And so they would. A week would go by and Naruto was still slightly struggling. Well, he now did, or at least could do the academy fight style, though it was somewhat hard for him to do it fast or good. And yeah, in which kind of got Kakashi. And yeah, though Kakashi did get Hiruzen's somewhat approval to keep on training him, heck, Hiruzen didn't really care, he just told him, or at least that somewhat the 1 week was simply kind of somewhat mission. And so, yeah, he did obviously he did succeed in teaching Naruto the academy sort of taijutsu within a week. And so, yeah, though somewhat next week, or at least, yeah, or at least Kakashi would kind of give Naruto weights and would tell him how to kind of train and would give him a somewhat rough training, so all this stuff to kind of do. Naruto would ask, or at least what he'd be doing, and Kakashi would simply state that he'd be learning, or at least he'd be somewhat learning the fighting style which he plans on teaching somewhat to him, and that he'd probably would be gone about a week or so. And yeah, and so about a week and a half later, Kakashi learned the bare basics of the tutor fighting style from Kai, though Kai did tell Kakashi something that he could just stand out to him, though Kakashi did say that firstly he'd have to ask Hiruzen, and secondly, Guy already had a somewhat student on his hand, aka Lee or Rock Lee, to kind of get passed through the academy, and that trying to do two, especially with two different styles, would probably be a bit too much. So yeah, something which Guy would just kind of somewhat realise and would nod. And so yeah, of course Kakashi did meet these strength and speed requirements for the fighting style as well, though Kakashi had his own one, but he would learn it so he could train Naruto. And yeah, and so as the time went on, Kakashi had someone to of course train Naruto in it. And yeah, and not only that, though, Kakashi would also teach Naruto the Senshin. Yeah, though Naruto, or at least would kind of go to the third when it was coming up to the though about his on his 11th birthday, when Naruto would go to kind of visit the third Hokage, and Naruto would ask if there was any potentially for a different kind of clone jutsu, in which Hiruzen would not, though he'd state that he wouldn't give him a different clone jutsu until he'd be somewhat 12, and where he'd be graduating with the rest of his class, his year group. Yeah, and that'd be a small somewhat argument in which Naruto would kind of give up as he was kind of losing. And yeah, and so from there, yeah, and of course now time passed and he'd now be sitting in the academy once more, though Naruto would be kind of wondering who his academy, or not academy, but who his somewhat sensei would be. He kind of hoped it would be Kakashi, as he'd already been training with him. And yeah, and pretty much Naruto had already passed the sort of, academy test. Pretty much using the Shadow Clone Jutsu. Yeah. Another thing Kakashi also did was also train Naruto in chakra control. Something which, Naruto kind of heavily somewhat needed, and anyway. So similarly, though Naruto would kind of be rated as somewhat, though he'd somewhat see the silent door somewhat open, the door in front of the classroom somewhat open, he'd somewhat look up and the person would simply state Team 6. Yeah, Naruto would that way kind of sigh, though somewhat seconds would go by, as then the door would open once more after being shut. Yeah, Naruto would somewhat look up and he would see a silver-haired person walk in, and Naruto would kind of go, why that? Then he'd somewhat hope to Kami that Kakashi was his team sensei and he wasn't going to save Team 8. Though the person would simply eye smile up at Naruto and he'd go, ha, Team 7, in which Naruto would just seemingly vanish from his somewhat seat and would seemingly appear right around Kakashi's somewhat chest. Someone just happy that he kind of had Kakashi as his sensei. Yeah, Kakashi would simply give him a somewhat nice one as he'd rub his head as he'd go, well, meet me on the rooftop, as he'd proceed to simply disappear with Naruto wrapped around his somewhat side. And yeah, Sasuke and Sakura just kind of stared blankly at where their sensei sort of was, before Sasuke could get up and proceed to kind of dart outwards. And somewhat not Sakura, what's her name, not not Sakura, I forgot her name. Hinata would kind of somewhat go red at seeing similarly Naruto, cuddle similarly somewhat Jonin, though it was clear to everyone that Naruto knew who this person was. Yeah, and which did cause, though it would, or at least from one person, cause their eyes to narrow, aka Shikamaru. Yeah, Naruto would be dead last for a while now, so why would he know a random Jonin? Sure, Naruto could have easily bumped into, say, this Jonin, a couple of minutes ago, or days. And yeah, so that was a way Naruto could have somewhat met him before, but yeah, it just seemed a bit too odd. Anyway, yeah. And so, of course, from there, once Sasuke and Sakura get to the rooftop, introductions would go pretty much like in somewhat canon. Yeah, though Naruto would still be wearing his somewhat bright orange jumpsuit, though mainly because Kakashi had kind of somewhat convinced him and some of the other Jonin that Naruto then ended up talking to, from his apartment complex that he now lived in, somewhat about, just being a shinobi, and yeah, most of them had obviously told him something that is, or at least the only issue with his somewhat jumpsuit was that it was bright orange, and that if it was a kind of dark orange, like a very dark / burnt orange, it would be somewhat fine, as it would hide him during obviously somewhat kind of rise/sunset. Yeah, though, but obviously much dark clothing would be better for obviously stealth type missions and generally overall kind of missions, as you'd be able to more easily blend in with the somewhat surrounding kind of area, making them thus harder to somewhat spot. And yeah. Though when Kakashi kind of told Naruto just to keep on wearing his, bright orange jumpsuit as to keep, somewhat him being, to seemingly keep him as seemingly being the dead last. Yeah. Though, of course, also the journey and some tuning and that, and of course Kakashi had hammered in the importance of, actually, somewhat actual kind of, knowledge and not just kind of just somewhat going off by pure luck, pretty much. Yeah, Naruto wasn't too happy, but you can't have everything, and yeah. And so this is where I'm going to end this part here, guys. So, of course, if you have enjoyed this, do tell me, and if you have any somewhat what ifs on your mind that you may want me to do, preferably obviously some Naruto what ifs, then do say. Yeah, guys, with that, as I said, I'm going to end this one here. So if you haven't, I've just said that. Anyway, guys, have a good day. Anyway, guys, have a good day or night, depending on wherever you're on, whenever you watch this, and good. Bye!